Alrighty, Darren and Seth. Hi, guys.
Hi, Amy.
Hi,
So
Amy.
today, Darren and I have a special guest. Exciting stuff. We have Seth Blank, and he's the CFO with Premier Merchants Group. Hi, Seth.
Hi, Amy.
Can you
How are
tell
you
us?
guys doing today?
Good. Can you tell us a little bit
Good.
about your company and what you guys do?
Yeah, so Premier Merchants Group started in 2005. The owner of our company is a gentleman named Kurt Cardless, and he bought out his business partner. And since 2005, we've been offering ATM sales, service, tech support. We also have a branch of our business that does handle bank card processing. Recently, we'll get into this shortly, we started working with some Bitcoin sales as well. We work kind of hand in hand. There's a large ATM company in the United States called Payment Alliance International. They're the nation's largest non-bank ATM processor.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of our sister company. They've developed basically ATM industry leading reporting that comes in really handy. It's very critical to running an efficient ATM business where you have to know the numbers day in, day out, what's going into the ATM, what's coming out, make sure you're being paid appropriately, and so on. So.
Okay. Well, Seth reached out to Darren and I because it sounds like there's a lot of things happening right now in the ATM world that it would be good to let our members know. One thing we wanted to talk about was, I know safety and cleanliness are top of mind for everybody right now. And I think you had mentioned there's some cleaning innovations out right now in the ATM world. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so Gen Mega is going to have available, I believe, in September. It's going to be this fall, though, a V-scan device. And what it is it's just a light that mounts over the ATM's keypad. And after every use, it uses UV light to actually clean the keypad. That allows your customers to know that, hey, I'm using a clean ATM. It's very attractive to me as a germaphobe to want to use that ATM knowing that it's just been cleaned. It notifies the customer on the ATM that, hey, we just cleaned the keypad. It's ready for use. Because right now, especially when COVID became popular back in March, a big thing, was washing your hands. You can contract it via touch. Now, after some studies have been found, it sounds that your chances of getting it by touch may be less.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, you can spread germs by picking up on your hands, bring them to your face. And now the ability to use an ATM that who knows how many people have touched in a day, that it's clean, you can use it without that risk. Another nice feature is there's going to be software developed where typically now when you use an ATM, you have to make selections next to the screen. With the V-scan device, we can do a software update where the entire transaction can be done by just hitting the keypad.
You know what I really like about that, Seth, is labor for our members, as you know, is probably the most expensive item on their P&L. And they're diligently out there cleaning things such as the ATMs.
Right.
And that helps reduce labor knowing that you've got equipment that can self-clean so they don't have to send someone out there regularly, after every transaction to clean it. So that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I've been on some discussions with truck stop operators, and like you said, Darren, they're trying to keep all their surfaces clean. Now, if they don't have to worry about cleaning the ATM all the time, it frees up their employees to do other things, more productive things.
That's fantastic.
You mentioned Bitcoin. I know that Bitcoin is spiking right now. Why do you think that is?
I don't know the entire reason why. I do know Bitcoin users since 2015, just the number of people actively buying and selling Bitcoin has gone up by, I think, 20 million users based off of information I've been able to gather. We started tinkering with Bitcoin back in August of last year. And now, basically the way it works is you can add the ability for your customers to buy Bitcoin at the ATM. And the Bitcoin essentially is used as just a machine to accept payment. So the customer can pre-stage a transaction. They come to the ATM, put in their transaction code, put the amount they want to purchase. And at the time the transaction is finished, then that amount of Bitcoin that they purchased is transferred to their Bitcoin wallet, and it's complete. Basically, in the past 3 months, specifically, let's see, June's Bitcoin sales doubled from May, May's doubled from April, and right now July has already surpassed June's Bitcoin sales, and it's on pace to double what June did.
Okay.
I don't know specifically the reason for the spike, but I do know there's a demand to buy Bitcoin, and it brings in a loyal customer. Let's just say that. When I look at the transaction logs, I see it's a lot of times it's the same person buying Bitcoin once a week, sometimes once a day. But you do attract a new customer to your site that's going to hopefully, while they're there getting Bitcoin, get gas, buy a cheeseburger, buy some chips, buy something else. So
okay.
What's really interesting about Bitcoin, I just had some family members in England send me some things. And when I received the receipt with the acknowledgement of what was being sent, they had paid for it in Bitcoin. I was shocked by that. Yeah. And that was just Tuesday of this week. That was interesting.
Yeah. I know we have one independent member that has a Bitcoin machine, right, Darren?
Yeah, we have one of our members in Wisconsin, Golden Oil, and they've been doing. They've had a Bitcoin ATM, I believe it is, or either the ATM takes Bitcoin. They've had that for at least a couple of years, and I believe he's placed it in his other travel centers as well.
Okay. What about cardless transactions? What's coming with that?
Well, cardless is a little unique in the fact that most cardless transactions, while you're not sticking a card into the ATM, you're still having to enter your PIN number in the ATM and hit buttons at the ATM. Currently, we work with a number of cardless networks. MasterCard Cash Pickup is one. There's a company called Pop Money, and I can't remember the third one. It's Nice, I think, Cash Pickup, NYCE. The way it works, on a cardless transaction, you essentially have to pre-stage it. So when the customer comes to the ATM, they've already got an order number. They just make their selection, let's say for MasterCard Cash Pickup, and complete the transaction, get money. Now, the nice part about it is if you have kids and they need cash and they don't have a debit card or anything on them, you can actually send them to an ATM and they can put in the code and receive the cash.
Okay.
But I think right now, the last study I saw was late 2019. There's only a little less than 10% of the ATMs in the marketplace are currently cardless, or we'll get into the near field communication where you can just hold the card up next to it. Ours aren't completely cardless. You can still insert a card, but you do have the option if the customer wishes to actually do a cardless transaction. The biggest proponent behind it is you can avoid the skimming devices.
Okay.
I'm sure people have heard about skimmers being put on ATMs where it's stealing cardholder information. Well, with a cardless transaction, it's really hard to copy the mag stripe or get any information from a card. Plus, you don't have to worry about losing your card when you're carrying around in your wallet. So,
yeah, my dad used to give me those like American Express papers. You guys yeah. It was like I didn't even know what it was. Do you know what I'm talking about, Darren?
Amy, why are you laughing? We still use those traveler checks.
Traveler's checks.
I still write checks.
That sounds a lot better than those things my dad used to give me when I traveled. What about layouts?
Traveler's checks.
Yeah, traveler's checks. That's it. Okay. What about layouts? I know ATMs are usually probably out of the way. Darren and I keep hearing about, you want the flow of the store to work so people can keep social distancing. And I wasn't sure if there's any considerations for ATMs.
Well, when I work with merchants, it's their personal preference, where they want to put it.
Yeah.
Things I recommend is you want to put your ATM in a high traffic area. Locations where ATM's stuck back in a corner and there's no signage, they just don't get used. You'll be surprised how many times using an ATM can be an impulse buy. Where you're not even thinking about it. You walk by the ATM, you realize, oh, I should probably get some cash right here. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So in most of our locations, especially our convenience stores and truck stops we work with, a lot of times they're kind of by the front door where people see them as they're walking in or leaving the location. But otherwise, you do want to put them in high traffic areas just because you have a better chance of it getting used and obviously the more it gets used, the more money you make. So.
Hey, Seth, that's a great point. I'm a violator of that rule, unfortunately. I'm always suggesting that people put ATMs further into the store. I always call it like a need item. You know, like if someone needs oil or something, they'll go search for it. But I'm certainly willing to change my tune. Do you happen to have like any data that maybe we could do like a white paper or something like that? Because again, I'm a violator of that. Every single person that I'm talking about with store layouts and designs, I'm always pushing them to move the ATM further into the store, because I've always looked at it as a need item. But I see your point, and I'd certainly be willing to, you know, reconsider my recommendations to members, because that kind of makes sense. I never thought of the ATM as an impulse item. I've always thought of it as a need item.
Yeah, I would have to look for some of that data, but go back through basically our installation logs and see if we've ever moved ATMs. I know of a couple locations off the top of my head. But yeah, Darren, if you give me some time, I'm sure I can pick up something and kind of show you how the transaction numbers go up.
That'd be fantastic. I'm definitely willing to do a mea culpa on that. You know what I mean? I'm definitely not a sandbox guy. I mean, I'm always changing my tune once I learn the facts of it. So if it's certainly beneficial to our members, I'd certainly like to push that. So.
Okay, great.
Cool.
So lastly, what do you think is next in ATM innovation?
So our company president, Kurt, he's on several boards. He works with ATM IA. They're talking about what's called a next gen ATM.
Okay.
And there is going to be some significant advances once this comes out. It's going to be essentially work like an operating system like your cell phone. For instance, let's say like DraftKings, which is a sports betting site right now, is building an app for an ATM where someone could actually open the app on their phone, a DraftKings app, place a bet. If they happen to win, they could then go to the ATM and receive their winnings just via cash via the ATM.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's some big things in the works. They're still tinkering. Right now in Canada, you can essentially use an ATM kind of like a depository, where at the end of the night, you could go in, put your money into the ATM, receive a slip saying this is what your deposit is, and then actually deposit into your bank. Then a third party can come, pick up the cash, for a fee, of course, and just certify that that's the cash that was there, and work with the bank. Whereas you don't have to then take your deposits to the bank. You could actually put them in the ATM. It'll refill your cassettes in the ATM with the 20s, if you ever use the 20s or 50s. And your other notes, we put a separate cassette, and you can actually verify the transactions in the deposit. So that's one big thing. Right now in the United States, we're still fighting some red tape, and some just a few other things to actually do it. We like the ability where someone could walk to an ATM, excuse me, and make a deposit. Let's say they want to make a cash deposit at their financial institution of choice. You could get to the ATM, you know, say you want to use Wells Fargo, you choose Wells Fargo's app, make the deposit, insert the money, and that then goes into your bank account.
Is there a possibility once you get that done, would a retailer be able to use that as their deposit system as well?
Yes, that's the plan.
In other words, to potentially cut down on the costs of having a separate armored car service come out and, you know, pick up their whatever you want to call it, their daily deposits.
Yeah.
They could just walk over to the ATM, load it, and then whenever you all or whoever that merchant was or assignment of that armored car service, they just pick it up.
Yes, that's exactly it. And that's what we're striving for. Now, we're not there yet. We're working on it. The way I envision an ATM in the future is going to be different. It's going to be more of just a big touchscreen interface, where it's going to be more of a kiosk that is also can be an ATM, where you can come up, you know, you could do a bill pay. You could recharge minutes on your cell phone, let's say. You could buy Bitcoin along with withdrawing cash. And like I mentioned, you know, there's other ancillary devices, especially in in the sports betting world that it could be used for. I'm aware there's a couple of large ATM retailers right now, Gen Mega being one of them, and then Nautilus Sun, where they're actually building software to be more app-based than the current system we have, where it's basically just an ATM transaction with a few extra features.
Awesome. How can people get a hold of you?
The easiest way would probably, you can call our toll-free number.
Okay.
That's 855-764-2867. If you want to use it as an acronym, it's just 855-PMG ATM. Or feel free to shoot me an email. It's pretty easy. It's my first name, Seth, at pmgcom.com. So.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Seth. This has been helpful. Thank you very much.
I hope so.
Yeah.